All right, Troy, congratulations on your new bike. Now, this is obviously not your machine. You just got yours delivered to your home. You've had some time to put a little miles on it. But I wanted to walk through some features so you know exactly what you have. You deserve that. Okay, you got one heck of a motorcycle, and I want to show you that. So, this is CVO Street Glide, similar to what you have, which will work for the purposes of the video. Now, starting off, you're going to be enrolled in HOG, which is Harley's Owners Group. The local chapter, I know you're not going to be able to be a part of, but National HOG probably sent you information in the mail. You already received it, but you have a little HOG membership card. Keep that in your wallet. That's a 24/7 roadside assistance card. It's very handy. Also, if I remember it, you have an extended service plan. Keep that card in your wallet as well, as you do have some features with that. So, but in any event, if you have an emergency, call us. We're always happy to help. Now, as far as the bike goes, you have your factory warranty, which is a 2-year unlimited mile warranty, which is fender to fender, so to speak. Few things it doesn't cover, your typical wear items: tires, brakes, pickup and delivery. But I think you took advantage of an extended service plan. We'll talk about that after. But with that said, your tires actually have a 5-year limited warranty on them through Dunlop itself to protect you against factory defects. Now, with your awesome 21-inch performance machine wheel on the front, that doesn't so much apply. But if you have a compound issue with the rear tire, let us know. Now, if you get a heavy wrist and you're having some fun and you wear it quickly, that's not covered, but compound issues are. Also with that, certain things that aren't covered are typical, wear items like painted surfaces. So, always keep a nice coat of wax on there. Keep it nice. Your bike looks phenomenal. It's treated. It looks fantastic. But just keep that in mind. Now, moving forward, tire pressures. 40 to 40 PSI is the best way to go. Double check on your front tire, being a performance machine, and see what they have suggested. But traditionally, keep it in around 40 PSI is what Harley recommends for Harley-based tires, which are Dunlops. From there, your braking system is a reflex link braking system. You're going to see a black ring that's now covered in chrome on your bike on the front axle. Basically, the way your brakes work is your ABS light's going to stay on until 3 miles an hour. It's not active until then. From 3 miles an hour and up, ABS is active. When you get between 20 and 25 PSI, it's going to activate your reflex linked braking system. Now, the way that operates is basically, if you're doing, let's say, 40 miles an hour, and you apply steady rear brake pressure, you'll feel your rear brake come on, but it also applies left front brake caliper pressure as well. And vice versa, if we apply front brake, it does the same. You should still brake with your handbrake and foot brake, but that's going to help you, especially with the front brake, because it does link up with the rear and it makes that more useful at higher speeds. Okay? Now, moving back, you have your lower fairings. Now, it's a twin-cooled 114 cubic inch motor. Okay? So this vent here is for your fan vent. Your radiators are built into the front. Now, right here, you have this lever, which you move back and forth, and that's going to allow you to adjust the airflow on your motorcycle to help give you a little bit more cooler air flowing through. So keep that in mind. Okay? Now, braking process, nice and easy. First 50 miles, keep it around 50 miles an hour and under. Taking it nice and easy, which you probably already have done. From 50 to 500, treat it like a good drink and just mix it up. Okay? Don't just set cruise at 70 miles an hour and blast down the highway. You want to vary your speeds. You want to let those cylinders and those pistons marry each other in a multitude of ways. So just make sure that you're mixing that up. First service is at 1,000 miles. And you already have synthetic fluids in there, so you don't have to do it at exactly 1,000, but within reason of that. And then you're good to go every 5,000 post-after. Now, your 6-speed transmission, 6 gears is status quo gear. It's a cruise gear. Up on your odometer, it's going to tell you what gear you're in once you let your clutch disengage, because it goes by vehicle speed and RPM. 6 gears for cruising. Usually we're doing 55, 60 miles an hour and up before we're in that, so just keep that in mind. If you want to roll by a car or get to a steep hill, drop to 5th. 5th's the torque gear. All right? Now, saddlebags, the way these operate, one-touch lids, so you just lift it with your finger, and that opens up your saddlebag. And to remove them, you have a few rules to remember with your saddlebag. Always keep a hand on the bag, and always remember gravity's not your friend. If you have a premium motorcycle, you got to take care of that way in a premium manner. Now, if you ever want to remove these, you also have to remember you have to unplug your speakers from the bag itself via this plug-in back here. So you're going to unthread these bolts. Again, keeping your hand on the bag. And what you want to do, shine it right down in there, Mark. You can see that yellow plug down in there. Now what you want to do is unplug that yellow plug. Okay, now it's a quick release, but you have to make sure you reach your hand in. Now you can pull the bag back a little bit in order to access it a little bit easier if you would like, but you do want to make sure you take that plug off, and that basically rotates out. And you pull that, let me show you here, Mark, hold on. Easier said than done on camera. But you pull up on that yellow tab, and then what happens is you can pull that plug off. See how that yellow tab pulls up and back? So then when I put it back on, I plug it in, and then I press down on that yellow tab, and that secures it back onto the motorcycle. So make sure you do that. Now this saddlebag won't come off as much as the other one, because the other side is where we adjust our suspension. Okay? Now when you're putting this back on, realign it as best you see fit. Start one of these on, and make sure you thread it on completely. Start to hear it catch. That's good. Then do the other one. Now if you ever want to check your oil on the motorcycle, Troy, you want to do that when the bike is hot, on the side stand, on level ground, and your dipstick is over here on this side, right next to your trans dipstick, which you don't really need to check, but you'll have two readouts on your engine oil dipstick. It'll have a checkerboard. Now when you're checking that, the thing to make sure is that you're just on that checkerboard. If it's a little bit low, that's okay. We want to leave room for heat expansion. Okay? But there's two check marks because one's vehicle upright, one's on side stand. But as long as you're on your checkerboards for the appropriate situation, you're in good shape. You got nothing to worry about. Again, leaving room for heat expansion. Now your detachable tour pack, which is larger than the one on this one, you also want to remember, unplug any lights that you have see fit, which are going to be down underneath this pad. You'll have your plug-ins for yours. And you have two push lever arms on the back here. And the way you remove those is you're going to push those up on each side. You're going to rotate that. And what it'll do is once we rotate that up, that takes the back clamps off. And then we would grab this, preferably with a friend because it can be an awkward weight, and you're going to pull it back. Now I have a separate video on YouTube on how to do that specifically, but to save time on this one, I just wanted to update you that that's what those clips are for. This is the saddlebag we removed to adjust our suspension. Now rather than repeat the process for you on video, just reverse it. You're going to open your lid, you're going to remove your bolts, keeping your hand on the bag, and you're going to unplug your speakers by pulling up on that yellow tab to release that plug-in. And it's always best set your bag on a nice carpet or a rug, something that's abrasive free to keep your paint nice. And then you'll rotate your adjustment knob, which is basically a hydraulic adjuster for your suspension. In your owner's manual, it gives you a chart for how much weight's on the bike, where to roughly adjust that. But I would start somewhere between 5 and 10 on that chart. And that's going to give you a nice ride quality. But let me know how it feels. It's the chart in the owner's manual is a generic ride quality. It may be too stiff for you, maybe too soft, so use your own judgment as to what you see fit. Okay? 6-gallon fuel tank, high test is the best. The way you fill it up, this is a flush mount fuel cap, press down, rotate, pop it up, now you can fill up with gas. Now always make sure you fill up about an inch below the bottom of the cap, so you leave room for vapor expansion, so you're not putting extra pressure on the seals. Also keep in mind, 91 or 93 octane is what we want to stick to. That's what the bike's going to run the best with. If you have to run 87 or 89, that's okay, but 91 or 93 is preferable. Also keep in mind, you have your fuel gauge up here, which tells you how much gas you have. Don't let it get too low. But when your fuel light comes on, you traditionally have between 32 and 45 miles left, or roughly about a half a gallon of gas. Don't push it, okay? Fuel light comes on, first gas station you see, stop and get gas. Don't risk it. Your navigation will also pop up when your fuel light comes on and ask you if you want the nearest gas station. It'll give you directions. So if you ignore all those safety features, by golly, you will see how beautiful your bike is when you push it down the road, and it will get heavier the further you go. So keep that in mind. Now on this side, you have your heel toe shifter, which are mounted on a spline shaft. So if you remove these bolts, Troy, you can slide that off that spline shaft, rotate it, remount it, and change the angle of those so they work better for you. Okay? This is your horn, and again, 6 gallons of fuel. Now on your standard hand controls, you have your on-off run switch up here. You have your ignition. You have your one-touch 4-way lights, your turn signal, which is 1 per side, your horn, high and low beam, and then you have for your voice commands if you plug your headset in to your headset port. If you don't, just click home to cancel out of that if you accidentally press it. You have your cruise control, which works very simple. You press it in to turn cruise on, so you press it into the handlebar. Down is set or coast, up is resume or accelerate. If you cancel cruise out once you're rolling, handbrake, foot brake, pull in your clutch, that'll cancel cruise control. You can also take your throttle, give it a quick flip forward like that, and that will also cancel out your cruise control. So keep that in mind. This up here is not an ignition. This is strictly for your fork lock. I always suggest, if you plan on riding the bike soon, always make sure it's all the way over to the unlock position. Not straight up and down, that's a safety hazard. And when your forks are all the way to the left, you can rotate that over to lock position, and that's where you can lock up your forks or use your remote fobs to use your automatic locks for that in that position. Okay? Otherwise, leave it in the unlock position. All right? Now, this info button is for information on your infotainment system, which we'll get into in a separate video to save on time. You don't need to worry so much about this button here. You won't be using that a lot. But this one here is a 5-way joystick to move around to make a selection on your screen, and you press it in to make a selection. This side is where you have your volume up and down, change your station back and forth, and you press in to change on your home screen. And it cycles from your home screen to your media screen as well. In here is your jukebox, as they call it. You have a removable foam piece that you can trim with a USB cord in here to charge your phone, plug in a USB with music on it, or you can use that to USB stream media right from your phone if you're not going to Bluetooth, which again we'll go over in a little bit. Your vent up here, I would always leave that open unless you're caught in the rain. Other than that, leave it open, helps cut back the buffeting, makes life a lot easier. You have a hydraulic clutch, and your trip button is right up here, okay? That helps you cycle through your trip. If you press and hold, it'll turn on your radio alone, not your host system. Your host system comes on and off via your run switch. Now, if you're not going to be riding the bike for a little while, Troy, I would plug it into a battery tender. Underneath your left side cover, you'll see a pigtail hanging down. Plug that into a tender. Keep your battery charged. If you're not riding it for a little while, it's always good to maintain that. Now, with that said, Troy, that's going to give you a first basis on your bike, and I'll send you an infotainment video at a later time to go through that. But please watch this. If you have questions, reach out to me, but it'll give you a good basis to remember so you can pass the test at O'Malley. All right? Thank you, Troy. Congratulations, and ride safe.